Back in the late 90s, I was looking into joining the Single Action Shooting Society. They use 19th century firearms and reproduction 19th century firearms, and that really kind of appeals to me because I like that era of firearms. But another thing that they do is that they expect you to develop a persona and then dress the part. And the way I understood it was that you could dress period accurate or you could kind of dress Hollywood fiction. It was up to you. And that sounded like so much fun. And I thought, why don't I have two personas? Why don't I have one that's period accurate? That's going to be a challenge, and I enjoy studying history. That would be something I'd really like to do. But I kind of also want to be the Hollywood fiction kind of thing. I was kind of leaning towards the whole Clint Eastwood thing. And some things in my life changed, and it never materialized. It never happened. It's been a couple decades, and I'm still interested in it. So I've decided that I'm going to gradually, very gradually, try to develop both personas. But the reason it's going to be gradual is kind of twofold. One is I really don't know what I'm doing. I've done a little bit of research, but I really don't know what I'm doing. The other thing is it's going to be expensive. Some of the period accurate reproductions that are out there are fairly pricey, but there's a reason they're that expensive. It's because they're accurate. So what I thought I could do was maybe try to develop an accurate persona, and anything that didn't work with that, kind of put it in my fictional persona. But developing the fictional persona would be a lot easier, so it could be an opportunity for me to learn what really is fiction and what would actually fit in as period accurate. Now, to give you an example of some things I've already done, I did a video on some reproduction gimmicky kind of pocket watches from the movie For a Few Dollars More. That's fiction, right? But those are the only pocket watches I've ever owned. I also did a video on two holsters that I purchased from Duke Frazier. One is historically accurate. It's based off a 19th century photograph, and the other one is based off of the fictional TV series Hell on Wheels. So there's a little Hollywood and there's a little history right there. And that's what I mean. So I decided to kind of take the next step, and I decided to purchase something that wasn't very expensive. This is definitely the Hollywood persona. But this is something I have never owned before. I don't know anything about these things. I mean, very little. And I don't even know how this is going to look on me. It just might look dumb. But this is an opportunity for me to learn and maybe take the next step. And maybe it might help me to make a purchase for something that is more historically accurate. And I might be reaching out to some people and asking for some advice and some help along the way. And this is just going to be a process. This is going to take some time. And I thought maybe I could make a few videos and maybe share that with the audience if you're at all interested in the same sort of thing I am. So let's go ahead and see what I did. Let's go ahead and unbox this, and I'll show you what I got. Now, first thing before I unbox it, it does say made in the USA. As far as I know, this is not made in the USA. This is just a box that it came in. So we'll get out the buck knife, and we'll go ahead and cut the tape here. Don't want to damage anything. Just got some paper tape here on this carton. It looks like the flaps are kind of glued on there. Yep, they're glued on there. I ordered this off of Amazon. And it looks like they just took some postage box there and used that for dunnage. More dunnage. Okay, here we are. Oh, and they got some gratuitous stuffing in there to help this hold its shape. This is a leather cowboy hat. Let me read some information here I've got off the description off of Amazon. So, this is from a retailer called Sharpshooter. This is the Clint Eastwood Good, Bad, Ugly Leather Cowboy Hat. It's available in brown or black, and as far as I remember, he wore brown in the movie. It's available in sizes from small to 2X. Bet you can guess what size this is. I got a big fat noggin. And it costs $34 with $13 in shipping. This is imported, and it's leather with a leather hat band. Now, I don't know if this hat band is actually period accurate at all, or if it's even right for the movie. And now, the reason I decided to get black and not brown, I kind of wanted the brown one, But I decided to get black because I have a black duster that I bought in the early 90s. And there's another thing. Would my duster pass as period accurate for the 19th century, or would that be more Hollywood? I don't know, but this kind of matches the duster. So let's see if this 2X here fits my big fat noggin. The hat seems to fit my head just fine. My hair's a little bit longer than it normally would be if I got my regular high and tight, which probably isn't historically accurate. The hat might be a little bit loose. I should try this in high winds and see how well it stays on, but for the most part, if I shake my head side to side, it stays right there. So I guess I did pretty good guessing the size. I brought out my old duster. This thing's a couple decades old, and it needs to be cleaned up. But you can see, when I put the hat on top of it, you can see why I chose the black hat to go with the black duster. I really did want to get a brown or something lighter colored, and maybe I'll get a second hat later on down the road, and I'll do that. But I didn't know if back in the 19th century people tried to make their clothing matched, or they just mixed and matched and really didn't care. I'm really not too sure about any of that stuff. But prior to this, all I had was the duster, a pocket watch, and a holster. So I'm getting there one piece at a time. And that's what I want to do with some future videos coming up, is as I acquire more things, I'd like to talk about them, and then I'm hoping if anybody out there who's watching has any input, that they leave them in the comment section, even if it's constructive criticism. If I think this is historically accurate and it isn't, please let me know, and I will move it to my Hollywood setup. But at some point, I'd like to have enough things together that I can actually kind of fit the persona that I'm looking for, and I'm looking for any sort of information or input as I go along. So stay tuned for more videos in the future. They're not going to be very close together. This stuff is not cheap, so I'm only going to be getting it here and there. I've got plenty of time to put this together, and hopefully I learn a little bit along the way, and maybe somebody else who's interested in this who might be watching learns a little bit too. Thanks for watching.